Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we've got a video today looking at some of racing tomorrow. On Saturday, Newcastle, Kempton, and a race at Chepstow that I'm also interested in. But first of all, if you like these videos, drop a like on the video just to let us know that we're doing the right stuff and this is what you want to be hearing about. If not, if we don't get likes, we don't know what type of content you want. So let us know. Comments just as important, really. If you're watching this via YouTube, leave a comment on the video. If you're watching this on our actual blog post, leave a comment on the blog post. That's just as helpful so that we know what sort of content you want. Anyway, let's dive in with the first race at Chepstow. The only one I wanted to talk about here was Rambo T. As you know, if you follow my videos, I am a big fan of his. I'm surprised, he's still a maiden. His R2 figure was a really good effort at Fontwell. He was beaten by Rare Edition that day, I believe. Another good run at Ascot. Last time out, he just got beat by a decent horse, catching him unawares. The jockey was thought he was coming on the... Did he come on the outside, I think, of a horse? And a horse nipped up the inside and just got away and wasn't for catching. I totally expect Rambo T to win tomorrow, but I think he'll be priced accordingly. Don't think there is prices yet for this race, but I fully expect him to be a short price favourite. Just keep an eye on his price just in case he's a backable price. So the second race I want to talk about is the Adonis. Now my angle here is normally looking for French bred or French raced Nicky Henderson and Paul Nicholls horses. They're the ones I like. None of them have any. We've got a British bred Nicky Henderson horse that is come from the flat. That doesn't interest me going forward. The only horse that I'm therefore watching in this race is Perseus Way, because I do like him for the Boodles Juvenile Handicap Hurdle. He had a form line, a very strong form line with Dixon Cove. They're very, very closely matched. As you know, I was a big fan of Dixon Cove for the Boodles Juvenile Handicap Hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival, but unfortunately Dixon Cove suffered an injury and has had to be retired already. So yeah, Perseus Way is the obvious replacement. I know we've got Sir Alan already at a decent price, but I do like Perseus Way, and I'm hoping that Perseus Way therefore doesn't actually win this race, but can run well behind Scriptwriter, who I think will be the one that wins it. But I won't be having a bet in that race. You can see Scriptwriter's 7-4 favourite. Perseus Way, yeah, if you finish 4th, that would be great. So the 225 is another race that I don't actually want a horse to win, and that's Alright Gino. I am really worried that he might go close here. Boot Hill didn't impress me last time. I'm hoping it was just a blip. If you look at his R figures, he'd been running in the 140s. He dropped to a 138.8. Hopefully that was just a blip. Boot Hill can run, high 147, 148, which probably would be good enough to beat That's Alright Gino. Well, I don't know what That's Alright Gino to win this. I really like him for the plate at the festival. I thought his effort behind Stage Star last time was a very, very good effort. I think Stage Star is a graded horse that was running in a handicap. That's Alright Gino on his first start over the 2.5 mile ran a really good race, the only horse to get anywhere near to him. The fact that Stage Star will probably end up in the graded races at the Cheltenham Festival, one of them, whereas That's Alright Gino could run in the plate, and off his current mark I'd be quite keen on him in the plate. Obviously if he wins this, he goes up in the handicap, and that would be a concern, but hopefully Boot Hill will be too good for him. And Solo maybe. As you can see, the money's actually coming for That's Alright Gino, which is a concern. Moving on to a race that I do have a bet in. We've already advised one for this, and I'm also going to talk about a few others as to why I actually think this is going to be a really good race. Like as in tomorrow, and also going forwards. So we are on Clondalk Castle at a big price. I think 14 to 1. I highlighted him. He won this race off 154 a couple of years ago. He's currently rated 154. He's had one run back, a prep run hopefully, when he was beaten by Picdory. That's a good effort. Everything is there to run another big race in a lucrative handicap. Hopefully they realised that we could try and win that again. They got him a fitness run, and then they can hopefully go close. Now, let's look at a few others from this race. So, Captain Orr is back in it after winning last year. He obviously won for us last week, and we have a nice double with him going on to a horse I'll talk about in a bit. Last year he won this off 124. This year he's he effectively won it off 124 because of the jockey claim. This year with the jockey claim he's effectively running off 130. So a £6 higher mark. Would he have won last year off a £6 higher mark? Possibly. It would have been close. I thought he won it quite nicely from Kitty's Light, Our Power and Enrillo. Kitty's Light, who we have the double for Captain Orr and Kitty's Light to win the Ida Chase. Kitty's Light is actually £8 lower, so although it runs at Newcastle, he's £8 lower than where he was this stage last year. And generally you see horses that come back at this time of year, at the same time of year, and run really big races again. It's something I do like to look for. Even sometimes they won on a different race on the card. I'll talk about one in this race in a bit. So Kitty's Light is actually £8 lower going to the Ida Chase, and I fully expect Kitty's Light to go very, very close there and take all the beating, to be honest. Our Power finished third in this race last year off 136, runs here off 141. So he's £1 better off with Captain Orr, but would he have beaten Captain Orr £1 better off last year? No. So I'm kind of not that keen on Our Power. Ansam ran in this race last year off 140. He pulled up when he went off 7-1. He's £2 higher this year. Now I know he hacked up last time, but it was a bit of a messy race, as in he was gifted a lead, nothing went after him, he won by a long way. But like back in third that day was Kitty's Light, who was not trying, in my opinion, doesn't have the speed for 3 miles, so he probably beat not a lot in my opinion, whereas there's 6, 7 here that like the trip, like the course, are well handicapped. So I'm not sure I would be an Ansam fan in this race, and I think he's currently favourite, second favourite now behind Captain Orr, but I wouldn't be going for Ansam personally. One of those who won a different race on the card last year was Phlegmatic. He won the 2.5 handicap off 130. He's up to 135, so it will be harder this year, and he's in probably a better class of race, but he did win that easy. So, you know, if you're on Phlegmatic, I'm not saying you're definitely not going to win. I think he will run a nice race. If he gets home, he could be very interesting. The horse who's the best handicapped horse in this race compared to last year is Enrillo, right at the bottom there. He's failed to finish on 5 of his last 6 runs. He is down £9. He was 146 last year. He's running off 137 here, or an effective 137, because Angus Chalada takes off 5. Now, if they were him and Captain Orr, if there was £15 difference last year, would he have held on? Probably, to be honest. I don't think Captain Orr beat him by £15. Similarly, Our Power, he's £14 better off with Our Power, and they kind of jumped the last together. You know, if you wanted to have a big price each way play in this race, for me it's Enrillo. So can we forgive him his last 3 runs since that race? Possibly. Sandown didn't quite work. Don't know why it didn't work, but he pulled up. After that, he fell in the Badger Beers, and he was actually going well. Granted, they'd only met the 12th fence, but he was still travelling really well that day. And last time, he ran on soft going. I don't think he wants the ground. I don't think he wants soft going. Look at his form. It's on good to soft at worst. Yeah, he ran on soft, and maybe that was the reason for his poor run. The better the ground, the better the chance for Enrillo. He won here. What did he do? Last time he came down to a similar mark. He won off 138. He beat Hold the Note, who went on to finish 4th in the Kimura. 3rd was Ballymoy, who looked very well handicapped that day. And Enrillo went on to run in the Bet365 Gold Cup and finished first past the post and got disqualified. So his actual form when down to this sort of mark is quite good. You know, that was a good effort when winning at, I think it was at Newbury, that he beat Ballymoy and who did I just say? Hold the Note. So he's very interesting down at this very low handicap mark. If the faster they're going, the better I think for him. And if Angus Chalada can rejuvenate him a little bit, then I think he's very, very interesting, and he's quite a big price at the moment. He's still 22 to 1. I mean, Bet365 are certainly trying to cover this, aren't they? 12s. But he's available at 22s, and I think that's quite interesting. I think it's quite interesting that Bet365 are going 12s on him. If we're on Clondalk Castle at a bigger price, I think we've had our win from Captain Orr. I'd be worried about the quick turnaround and the competitiveness of this race. I don't think our power can reverse the form. Ansem, I don't think this is a much harder race for him. Phlegmatic, I think it's a harder race and it's a step up in trip. There's a couple of others. Jacomar obviously beat Mr. Coffee and not available, I think, here. Does he stay the 3 mile? I've also said that he's a class 3 horse. This is like a class 1/2. I think I'm going to have a small each way on Enmillo as well, just in case he bounces back off his very low handicap mark. Moving on to the 325 at Newcastle. Obviously, everyone knows who I like here. Kitty's Light. We're on the double, Captain Orr last weekend, and Kitty's Light at bigger prices than this, and obviously with the double it makes it a much bigger price. So I kind of don't want to have another bet on Kitty's Light, really. Is there a horse that I'm worried about? It's probably Sam's Adventure. Sam's Adventure, the second favourite, 7s, 8 to 1. He won this race a couple of years ago off 139. He's running here off 125. I just want to check that because that sounds mental. Yeah, he's running it off 125. £14 lower the mark than when winning it 2 years ago. And I think the interesting thing for Sam's Adventure is he has just got back to winning ways at Catterick. If he'd been bang out of form and hadn't done anything for years and had dropped in the handicap and you were kind of going, well, it's just a handicap drop, similarly to Kitty's Light. Kitty's Light is back to what he wants. He wants a long distance race, but Sam's Adventure has won, and that would be for me, that's the biggest danger and probably the only danger to Kitty's Light, in my opinion. If Kitty's Light gets round and doesn't make too many mistakes, he takes all the beating. The only one that I think could be interesting is Sam's Adventure off that ridiculously low handicap mark of 125. And if you've got Kitty's Light already, then Sam's Adventure as a cover bet is probably a decent bet in that race. Moving on to the 340 at Kempton, the Grade 2 Novices Hurdle. Now, I initially thought I was going to say, I think Hansard takes all the beating here, but that R figure of Rabaul 2 runs ago was a really good effort, and even 3 runs ago was better than what Hansard has done so far. Hansard therefore has to step up, whereas Rabaul last time was just far too keen in that Betfair Hurdle, and I think he's better than that. And very often we pick a horse in a handicap, doesn't win, a couple of runs later it then runs in a graded race and goes and wins. Rabaul might do that in 1 run, and I actually think he's worth a small win bet there because he did run well at Kempton. His best star figure was here at Kempton. They ran him in the Adonis last year on this card, and I think they realised that he wasn't ready because he went off quite a big price that year, that day. So I'm happy to give Rabaul one more go, and he's a better price than I thought he would be. I think there's too much discrepancy between Hansard and Rabaul. Yes, Hansard could be is the unexposed one and could be anything, but Rabaul has been here and done it, and I'd be very disappointed if Rabaul doesn't bounce back and run a decent race here. Back off to Newcastle, we've got this 2.5 mile handicap chase, and the interesting one here for me is 5-Star Getaway. Now 5-Star Getaway actually ran in the Coral Trophy this time last year. He went off 6 to 1 for the Coral Trophy. So a better race than what he's running in here, a much better race than what he's running in here. He went off 6 to 1, off a £7 higher mark. Now he disappointed that day. This is should be well within his comfort and his level. And I'd be really disappointed if 5-Star Getaway doesn't go very, very close here. Off a £7 lower mark than when we actually liked him last year for the Coral Trophy, having won at Kempton the time before, I believe it was. Was it the time before? He won in December. He then disappointed in February, but he still finished 8th. You know, he wasn't pulled up or miles out the back. He still finished 8th. I mean, a couple of these runs, especially that run at Kempton when he won on day after Boxing Day, and I think he would go very, very close here. And I'd probably make him the favourite over Easy As That. Okay, Easy As That could be progressive, but 5-Star Getaway is very, very well handicapped. And Jack Tudor rides, and we like Jack Tudor. I know he's there to ride Kitty's Light, but hopefully Christian's sent up 2 horses to Newcastle to both win. Final race that I want to talk about is the 2-mile handicap hurdle, class 3 handicap, and there's a clear one for me. I think even the R figures, you can see who I'm going to suggest. It was only 3 runs ago that Voix de Rêve ran a 152.2 at Newcastle. Granted, it was in the fighting 5th, but a reproduction of that basically, and he would win. Even though he got absolutely walloped back and forth of 4, he would win. And he's down to a mark of 127. Last time he ran in a race of this nature, so a class 3, he ran off 132, and he won comfortably at Newcastle. They're back into a class 3 finally. I think last time they ran in a Scottish Champion Chase, I think it's called, which is a 2-mile handicap. That was the Hogmanay Hurdle, a class 2. That was the fighting 5th. That was grade 1, I think, at Aintree. Yeah, it might have been a grade 1. These are, you know, top quality races. That was the Scottish Champion Hurdle, I think. This is a much easier race. He should definitely be favourite in my opinion. And he's 3-1. I know he's got to bounce back a bit, but it's only a couple of runs ago that he ran a performance that should be plenty good enough to win this. So I'm really keen on Voix de Rêve there. And think he's a good bet at 3-1. Hopefully there'll be a few more prices by the time people watch this video. Any more? Yeah. So there's a few horses that I like. So let's just give a quick recap. Rambo T, I fully expect him to win tomorrow and make amends for last time. I'm watching Perseus Way. Hopefully finishes 3rd or 4th. I'm watching That's Alright Gino. I am worried. I'm hoping that he gets beat and doesn't go up on the handicap. We're already on Clondor Castle, and I'm having a small each way on Unrillo. We're already on Kitty's Light, and I'm having a cover bet on Sam's Adventure. I'm going to go for Rabau again to make up for his disappointment in the Bet for Hurdle when he was far too keen. I think he's a bigger price than he should be. I like 5-Star Getaway. This is an easier race than what he's been running in. And I liked Voix de Rêve. This is a much easier race than what he's been running in. Back down to this type of class, I think he will take all of the beating. Thanks for listening. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you do like these videos, drop a like on them. Drop a comment. Let us know what you think. Let me know who you think is going to win the Coral Trophy. Who you think is going to win the Ida. A video earlier this week was for the Grand National. Let me know who you think is going to win the Grand National. Thanks for listening and have an excellent weekend.